Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about teaching you how to create print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if that is something that you're interested in, please do stick around. So in today's video, we're going to go over how to create this design right here. This design could be used for Black History Month, which is in February, so that's the beginning of Q1, so something you guys should start looking at. It could also just be used in general for any kind of woman or female empowerment type shirts. So there's a lot of different ways that you could go ahead and market this. It's pretty simple. It just says queen and it has a silhouette of a woman in front of it. You may have to be careful with your wording in terms of how you might title this. I don't know if queen itself is trademarked. There's a good chance that it is, so you might have to be careful what words that you use. I'm just going to go over the technique with you, and then of course you can always change what word you have on there, but this will go ahead and show you how you can sort of get those lines coming down from the letters and sort of that grunge look all over. So if this is something that you would like to learn how to do, go ahead and stick around. So as always, we're going to start with our blank background. It is 4500 by 5400 pixels, and we will be designing on black today. So I'm going to go ahead and select my blank canvas, come up to the top left-hand corner, and I will be selecting black for my background color. Now, this design is going to use a few different techniques that we've done before in combination. So I am going to do sort of sunset look text. Or I don't know what the technique is called, that's what I like to call it. But I'm going to go ahead and start with a text box. So I'm going to hit T on my keyboard, it will pull up a text box. I'm going to be using all caps, and for this one I'm just going to go ahead and put queen. That's going to be the word I'm going to choose. Oops. And we are going to go ahead and make this nice and big across the top. Now, whenever I'm doing the effect where I'm going to pretty much have the colors coming down from each letter, what I want is to make sure that I have a nice bold font. I want it to be close together. I want it to sort of have a square boxy look, because that's going to make it a lot easier for it to look like it's blending. So sometimes you have to take a while to kind of pick what font you want. So I'm going to put bold, and we'll just go ahead and try to see if we have any really good bold ones. So starting here, that one's pretty good. That's got a pretty square look. I don't know if I like the way the Q comes down like that, so we'll see if I find anything better. Again, anything that looks nice and bold. That one works pretty good. I like the Q out to the side. Still nice and square. I might go with this one. And so you can go ahead and play with a lot of them to see if there's anything you like more. That's another good one. If I go a little bit, narrower, I can make the font a little bit bigger. If I go wider, I can't make the font as big. So sometimes it helps to do something like that. This one's cool because the Q comes into the middle, so I definitely keep that sort of Q look going. Again, you can play with any of these. Lots of different ways that you can do this. I kind of like that one. So not too much variation in these. I am looking for something that's going to have a little bit of a square or a squarer look. That one would work perfectly, except I don't really like the way that Q looks, but that would essentially give me that nice flat bottom. But again, I don't really care too much for that. I'm going to go ahead and go with this one though, because instead of spending forever, I'm just going to go ahead and start with this. So it's going to say queen. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use different colors for each letter. I'm going to be designing this for Black History Month. And so Black History Month is February. So again, we're looking at the beginning of Q1, which is what you should be thinking about now. Black History Month sells very big every year. So if you haven't touched this niche, it's a good one to give it a try. It's also going to be good for kind of female empowerment, because we're going to go with sort of just that general female queen, but I'm going to use some Black History Month colors. And so what I'm going to start with is putting a different color in each one of these boxes. In each letter. So we're going to start off with sort of a reddish tone. I am going to be searching for something. I want it to be light, but sort of like that, maybe a little bit grungier. I do like that, so we'll go there. Next letter that we're going to go with is going to be yellow. So I'm going to go up, and we're going to go ahead and pick a yellow color here. Again, I want it to be a little bit more on the kind of grungier side. I do like that. That looks pretty good for me there. Next one I'm going to do is going to be green. And so again, we're going to go ahead, pick a green that we like. Ooh, I'm thinking probably more there. Again, I want it to be a little bit greener, but still kind of have a little grungy feel to it. I like that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and do an orange and then a brown. And so again, just kind of picking our colors. Sort of a nice orangey. I do want it to be a little bit brighter so you can actually tell it's orange. Maybe a little bit more into the yellow. Maybe something like that. And then the last one is going to be sort of a brownish, again, making sure that it's not too dark. I don't want it to blend too far into the black. So let's go ahead and see if I can get more of a tan brown. So something like that, maybe a little lighter there. So that's kind of a good brown color. I don't want it to look too much like the orange. So that'll do. So let's say we're going to start with these colors. So these are the colors that I like. This is how I'm going to start. I am going to want to put sort of an outline around the whole thing. Now, if I want to put an outline around text like this, the easiest way to do it would be to save this as one image, and then I can pull it up and then use photo effects on it, and then I can go ahead and put the outline around it. So I am going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and save Queen right now. I'll download it, PNG, transparent background. I'm just going to let it download, and then I'm just going to pull it up again just as an image. So I can go over to my uploads, upload file. I can upload that real quick. All right, there we go. So here it is. I can go ahead, click on that. I'll close this down, and now I have my image that I can work with. And so for here, I'm just going to get rid of that. Now I've got my image, nice and easy. We're going to put a really light outline around it, just enough so that I can see it really well, especially when I put the boxes in so I don't lose the bottom edges here. So I'm going to edit. I'm going to use the shadow feature. I'm going to use the glow. I am going to go ahead and make this, I'll make it white. No blur, no transparency. Again, it can be pretty small, so I don't need it to be too big. Right now that says about an 8, 9. We'll go with the 9, and I'm just going to hit apply. It'll take a second for all of it to totally finalize, but it will give me just a little bit of an outline around it so that I don't have to to worry about losing it on a dark background. So there I have my Queen. I'm going to put that up at the top, make sure it is all centered, and now we are going to start making some rectangles. So to make a rectangle, all you have to do is hit R on your keyboard. So if you hit the letter R, you now have a rectangle. And so this is really easy. I'm going to bring that rectangle right up to the bottom of the queue. And so I'm going to bring it right over to the side. I am going to have to bring it up high enough. Send it back. This is where the queue gets a little bit hard because I want it to come up high enough on one side, but not that high on the other. I might have to do a couple overlapping rectangles. So I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to drag, oops, sorry, put it back. There we go. So it's lined up. And then I'm going to resize it. So I'm going to pull it so it's all the way down to the bottom of the page right there. And so that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to be putting another rectangle just because I want to fill the gap on this side. So a little itty bitty rectangle, very small. And I can just go ahead and line it up, bring that up, and send to back. And so now it looks like that queue is coming down just like this. And now what I can do is I can match the color. So to match the color, I can go ahead, go to my colors. Now you should be able to see the colors popping up here. And so those should be pretty close to the right color, or you can use your little eyedrop feature if the color does not pop up, like my brown is not on here. So if I went up to my eyedrop feature here, I can just hover right over the Q. Yeah, that's a little bit brighter. And it will pull up that color. Now I do need to be able to get, oops, let me send this to back, this guy right here, and I need him to be the same color too. Boom. So now you can see the Q. It looks like there is a line coming down, but I can still see the bottom of the Q because I put that little outline on it. So that's one of the cool things about using the little outline. So now I'm going to go ahead. I can hit Control D if I just want to duplicate this and bring it over. Now I want to line it up with the bottom here and here. That'll probably do. Bring it down so that it lines up with the bottom there. And I'm going to go ahead and send that one to back. And now we're going to make this the same color as the U. I'm just going to go ahead and use the eyedrop feature, really make sure that it's the same here. And that's pretty good. And we'll do it again. I can put Control D. I can always just hit R2 and make a rectangle. Control D sometimes helps if they're the same width or the same height, so I don't have to quite adjust that as much, but it looks like, nah, I'm gonna have to be doing some adjusting here. You can also do little micro adjustments by using the keys on the keyboard. If you hit the right or left key, it'll just move it literally 1 pixel at a time, right or left. An easy way to make sure we're lined up here would be to really zoom in on my letters. And when I'm zoomed in on my letters, then I can go ahead and just use my little keys here to line it up. And then again, I'm gonna make sure I'm matching my colors and make sure this is sent to back. That way I get my bottom. Perfect. So now this I should be able to duplicate because I got 2 E's in a row. So if I bring this over, I should be able to line it up. Use my arrows. And then if I go down to the bottom, hopefully it is lined up at the bottom. Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and make this orange. Boom, perfect. And then I'm gonna go ahead and send to back. And now we gotta do this 2 more times because I'm gonna use 2 little slits for the ends. So for this one, again, I'm gonna Control D. I'm gonna have to make a nice narrow one for the N. So no problem, I'm gonna go ahead and maybe something like that. And that should work. Make sure it is the same length here. So I get it all lined up perfectly. That is gonna be brown. Use my eyedrop feature, get my brown. Oops, I hit the wrong spot. There we go, brown. Okay, I'm gonna send to back. And then I'm gonna Control D and bring it over here. And it should hopefully line up real nice. Line it up at the bottom, make sure it looks good and lined up at the top. I'm gonna send to back. It looks like it might be a little too wide. I'm gonna zoom in nice and close so I can really see. Yeah, so this looks like it's a little narrower. Oops, let's see if that worked. So that's a little bit better there. And again, I can always use my arrows to really make sure it's lined up nice, good, and that's all lined up, perfect. Zoom out. And so now I've got, says Queen, and so this looks pretty good, and so I could use this as is, but I want to go ahead and do a little grunge effect on it. So to do a little grunge effect on it, I'm going to make this the frame. So this is just going to say Queen, and I'm going to put frame. And again, I'm going to download this as is, transparent background, PNG, and that will be my frame. Now I'm going to put some grunge over the top of it, and this will be easy to do. You'll see elements. I'm going to come up, and I'm just going to put grunge. Perfect. And let's go ahead and look at our graphics for this one. So grunge graphics. Now there's lots of really cool different grunge splatters and all sorts of things. I like this one right here. It's really close to the top. You do have to change the color. So let's say I want to do more of a black grunge here. You can definitely see how that's going to look. And now I can bring this up over the entire image here. And so now you can see how it put just some cool grunge look or texture to the whole thing. And I can play with where I want it, how big I want it, you know, try to line up, you know, the grunge spots as much as I can. I do have to make sure that, again, the whole image is covered. And so I like that. And so now this is going to be my queen mask. Pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and download my mask. It does not have to be a transparent background. PNG is fine. Okay. Now I do want to show you the problem that you would run into if you just left this alone. So if this is your first time doing this and you were to leave this alone, if I put it on any color shirt other than black, so for example, let's put a gray, you can see that grunge just went all over the entire screen. Well, I don't want it all over the entire screen. I just want it over my design. And so I'm going to show you how you can get rid of it all over the entire screen and just keep it on your design so that you can put this on any color. And we're going to make this real easy because I'm just going to use a clipping mask on Photopea. So I'm going to hop right over to Photopea. I'm going to open from computer. I'm going to open my queen frame. And there it is. And now I'm going to go to File at the top left-hand corner, 3 spaces down. It says Open in Place. Now I'm going to put my queen mask over the top of it. I'll open that. So here's my queen mask. And now real easy, I'm going to go to Layer, Clipping Mask, and there you go. So we did a little clipping mask right there. Should look pretty good. And now I can just go ahead and put Export as a PNG. Give it a sec, box comes up, queen frame, queen, I'm gonna put grunge because it's now grunge. It's a PNG, it's 4500 by 5400 pixels. I'm gonna go ahead, save that, and now I can hop right back over to Canva, so it was that quick. And so now you can see sort of what I had here. If I pull up a new page, just so that you can see the difference, I'm gonna add, oops, I duplicated it, didn't need to duplicate it. You know, let me delete that, and I'm just going to put on a new page here. So I'm going to add page. I'm going to make this black this way. Well, no, let me keep it gray for now, just so that you can see the difference between this and what I pull up. I'm going to go to my uploads. I am going to go ahead and just upload my queen grunge that I just made. Okay, there it is. So now I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. Hide that. And so now you can see the difference between the top one, where I'm getting, you know, all this black around the outside, and the bottom one, it still says queen, but I no longer have any black around the outside. So there we go. And so that's perfect. I can now put it on any color background I want, but I do still prefer to design for black because I think that's where it's going to look the best. I'm going to go ahead and sort of center it now. Get it right where I want it. And so assuming that that's sort of right where I want it, I now want to go ahead and put a silhouette here. So these always look better with the silhouette here. So I put queen, so I want something that's going to represent a queen. And because I am sort of doing this for Black History Month, I'm going to go ahead and go with like an African-American woman. I've got obviously the colors here that they use in, you know, Black History Month. Before I do the silhouette, if I wanted to put a mask on this, let's say I wanted to change the tone or the color, I could still go up to Edit Image, and I could come down. Photogenic's usually the easiest one to use for filters. And if I give it a second to load, I can hit See All. And so now I could go down, and if there was a filter that I wanted to put on it that gave it a better color, you know, I could do it here. And so you can see how it's just sort of going to play with the tones of all of these. And so I could definitely, you know, play with these and see if there was anything better that I liked. Some soft ones, you know, I do sort of like the colors as I have them now, so I'm not necessarily wanting to play with them, but this is just how we could get a lot of different shades in. So if you ever wanted to be able to change that, that's an easy way to do it. But I don't need to do that. So I am going to go ahead and just start looking for my African-American silhouette. There's a few different ways you can do this. Sometimes if you just type in woman or African American woman or woman silhouette, you might have to play a while to find exactly what you want. I'm going to go ahead, I could put in African woman and see what comes up. And so we see lots of different African women. I do think that this would look better as a silhouette. Here's one with a silhouette that's been used before, and that one looks pretty cool. It even has the colors, and I can even change the colors to match this perfectly, so that might actually be a good one. I would prefer to flip her so that she's facing the other direction, and now I could make this nice and big, line it up at the bottom there, kind of center it within the design. Maybe a little bit smaller because I do still want it to say queen. I do think I need to center it a little better, bring it up so that it lines up perfectly at the bottom. So I'm just using my arrow keys here to bring it up a little. And now if I wanted to, I could totally go ahead and make sure that I'm matching colors. So I could come in here and just make sure that my colors match perfectly. And using my eyedropper feature, you can see how I can just sort of change those. I can get that. Again, I can match the green here. And now skin tone here, I think they have it at just a nice solid black, and that works pretty well. I could go ahead and go with this dark brown here if I wanted to and have it match that. And so that's one way I could do this. And so you can see how I can sort of play with this. I do like it to be, you know, pretty dark, maybe even a little bit darker, something like that. And then I could take it, I might have to play with its location because I need her face. I kind of lose her face there, but if I brought it here, now I'm definitely getting her face. It's just not centered. So I could do something like that. That looks kind of cool. That's an interesting look. It's not really working with the grunge look though, because this isn't grunge. Now there would be nothing from stopping me from doing the same technique that I did up here and putting grunge over the top of her too, just to get a full grunge look. I could definitely do that. So lots of different ways that I could go about to doing this. I could even put black behind her so that I'm not getting these colors showing through the headband. And so lots of different fun ways I could do this. And there's a lot of really cool ones here that you can see. So different ways that we can go about this. And so you might have to look through to figure out which one you like. Try to find one that you think looks good. There's tons of different options here. I do like some of the silhouettes. There's one with flowers here, and that's kind of cool too. So if I was to take that, throw the flower one on, I think the flowers look pretty cool. I can change the color of the flowers to match this, and so that might be a little bit better. And so lots of different ways we can play with this. I did like the face going in the other direction, but if I do it this way, I can really see the silhouette of the face. When I had it faced this way, I think I was hitting the black a little more. So this might actually work a little bit better for me. Let's go ahead and see if I can sort of center this in the page. Where's center? There's center. Okay, good. And let's go ahead and I'm going to change the flowers again, just like I did last time. Again, you always want to play, make sure you get everything exactly the way you want it. So I should be able to get pretty close with my sort of tones here. And so something like that looks pretty cool. Again, it doesn't really have the grunge over the flowers. I might have liked the grunge over the flowers. That's not a big deal. And in fact, because this is a silhouette and it's black, I actually could use the grunge right over the top of this. And so that might actually work out really well. Solid silhouettes you don't have to worry about because it's just black, but obviously if it's got any of these kind of colors, that's going to mess it up. And if I don't want this to show through, again, I could just use a black rectangle and put it in the back. So let me show you how I would do that. Let me hit R on my keyboard. I'm going to bring this down so that it, oops, sort of covers up. I want to cover up the earring. So all you got to do is sort of cover up whatever it is that you want covered. Except I want it to move over. There it is. And then I'm going to do one more rectangle to get sort of the edge. There we go. And so now all I have to do is make this black. And so you just have to make it so that it matches the silhouette. So that can be black. And then I can just send backwards, right? And then this green one here, I can make that black. And I can send backwards. So it's just going to go right behind her. Oops, I'm going to have to send it backwards one more time. Send backward again. And there we go. So that's how I would get rid of the earring. And so I think it looks better without the earring showing through. And then again, I can still do the grunge here. So let's say I'm going to go back up to grunge because I think that looked cool. I used a black grunge on here. And so there would be nothing stopping me from kind of doing this. I don't want it to get onto the other side of the page, but I could certainly Control D, do something like that. There we go. And so now I put some grunge over the top of the flowers. Not bad. Okay. There we go. So I got a nice grunge to the flowers now, and I did not get it on the background. And the important part about that is, again, if I want to put it on any other color shirt, I don't want any of the grunge to fade into the background. So I got it over her, but nothing else. So you can see I can put this now on any other color shirt. So white might be a good option here. Perfect. And you can see I've got that nice silhouette going. And so this actually looks pretty good. This might be what I end up going with. I like it. And you can put it on any color, like I said, and I just got that grunge look to the whole thing. And so this is what I'm going to go with. So here's my cool queen design. It would be good just, again, for Black History Month or just, you know, women in general. And so I'm just going to go ahead. I can put queen grunge, and we'll just leave it like that. And so I'm going to download. It is going to be a transparent background. I only need page 2, and we'll hit download, and it's all done. And so that is it for how you would go ahead and do this type of design. I've showed all of these techniques before in different combinations, but as you know, we're looking at Q1, I want you to start thinking ahead. So January, February, maybe even into March, but February, the big ones are going to be Black History Month is, you know, all month long. Valentine's Day is obviously a big one too. We can start looking at that. There will be some more videos coming up on other things that you can start designing as we start to look forward. So go ahead and keep an eye out for those. If you haven't hit like and subscribe yet, go ahead and do that so that you don't miss any of the videos that we have coming up. I try to put out 2 videos a week. And so again, if you have any questions, comments, or anything that you would like to go over, drop it in the comment section below. I will try to get back to it as quickly as I can. And I hope you guys, again, are having some good sales. That's all for today's video. If you found this useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.